Hello guys, in this video we'll be doing a T-Rex speed build. Obviously with the free update, the T-Rex is now semi-aquatic, so I thought it would be a good idea to make an exhibit that can sort of showcase this feature. So I already had like a rough layout planned, so this is just me like making sort of like the base of the guest area. I wanted to make the path color a bit different. I don't really think two like very similar shades of grey would have worked that well. But this is just me like filling in the entire guest section, like nothing too special. Okay, and then here I put a slope on the enclosure because I don't really like fences, to be honest. It just makes it look a bit less like natural. The things I like it looking natural, and I just thought the slope would help it there. But as you'll see later, the slope actually wasn't enough to contain the animals. So this part here is sort of like a waterfall, like multiple waterfalls, as you'll see me create here. Now, if I'm going to be honest, I don't really like, in the temperate biome, I don't really like the way the water has like these like plants on it, like the lily pads, and then like sort of the grass-ish thing around it. I don't actually like that, so it's quite common to see me delete it. Now here you'll see me put some wetland. I just think like wetland's quite useful. And obviously to see the T-Rex swim, you need some deep water for them. Now here, I'm just trying to get some rocks, but I couldn't get, so instead I just started placing some trees. To be honest, the trees are a bit random. But here is where I actually begin placing like the individual rocks. I put some rocks on like the edge of the exhibit just to like create a natural barrier. But it's nothing like crazy. I'm not really like, I use rocks for sure, but I'm not like, I don't use it crazily. Now of course in the actual exhibit, just to make it look a bit more natural, I had to put some elevation because let's be honest, there's nowhere where like the land is perfectly flat, to be honest. And I think it just helps it look a bit more natural, because if it's just completely flat, then it just looks weird. Now this is a goat feeder I made. I sort of covered it up with like a sauropod skeleton that I've made as a custom blueprint. And this is just me like painting the sort of like enclosure floor, because just the grass looks a bit weird. And this is just me placing some rocks in the background. Rocks just make it look like, especially since this is sort of like a cliff-ish, like there's some elevation, I think rocks are suitable here. Obviously you don't always need rocks, but they are quite useful. I like covering things up, especially with the modular building now in Jurassic World Evolution 3. But it's just the same me just like placing these rocks everywhere, and even like not even on the background, but like in the middle of the enclosure, just like between the waterfalls, I think. Just because like there are those parts where the water almost like, there's like a bump in the sort of ground, and I don't really like seeing that. And this is actually another issue here with the waterfalls. They're like, it begins thin, then it broadens out, and then somehow comes thin again. And it's just like, whoa, how does that happen? How does it go from thin to like, look at this waterfall right here. You can see it if you saw it there. It's just sort of like why has it done that? Now, the waterfalls, obviously we didn't have them in the previous game, and they're a great feature. But I think maybe just like a small update to make them look a bit better could potentially help. Now here I'm just covering the face of this like hill with some rocks. Now yes, I'm guessing most people aren't even here, to be honest, but if you are, I actually really appreciate it. Not many people watch my videos, of course. Like, I'm a small content creator. It's not like I'm some crazy viral, well-known person. But yeah, so this is about where I finish it. Of course, I make a few changes. I feel like something that's important is just to like use the first person mode. Just sort of like look at the exhibit just to see what it's like. Now, I did attempt to make my own entrance, but I just couldn't find anything that was good, to be honest. And so I ended up using a template. Now there's a toilet. And yeah, this is where I realized that the slope actually isn't enough, of course, like the goats escape. It's quite annoying. So just change the elevation a bit. I didn't really change it around the back, I just changed it around the front. And well, I guess that goat's just roaming around now. Now, if I'm going to be brutally honest, I'm not good at modular building. I'm not good at it at all. I don't know where things are. It's quite like a big feature for me. Like here, I'm using the diagonal pieces like an absolute idiot. And also, I know this piece is like what, transparent sort of thing, but like, I wish they had actual glass. I don't know if they actually have it or not. I mean, to be honest, they probably do. I'm just like not smart enough to find it. But yeah, I think some proper clear glass could help. Now this section I plan to make sort of like an educative section, so like the guests can sort of learn about the animal itself. Now here you can see I actually have a blueprint with like a bunch of statues, but I couldn't access that, I'm guessing because of the restrictions, so I just had to make do with some things from the workshop, which you'll see me use later. Now here, I'm sort of trying to make like an education board, like an information board. Like in Planet Zoo, you have those like little TVs that sort of have like a bit of information about the animal on them. That was sort of what I was going for here, because like in zoos you'll probably find things similar to this where like you can actually learn about the animal. Now I'm not sure why I didn't actually like resize it, because to me that looks quite thick. So this is just me placing in some of the signs just to make it look like the information board. There's the T-Rex, the star of this attraction. And here you can actually see me like looking for something that could represent text, because of course there would be text on an information board. That's the whole point of it. Now I couldn't really find anything for a while until I came across these sort of like long pieces, and I just resized them. I struggled a bit like with them for a sec, but I got it fixed out. And then yeah, just duplicating them. So that's the guest section. I also added some fences because like, of course in real life there are absolute idiots who just think, oh yeah, like just make bad decisions. And I've also put in some benches so people can sit down and just relax. But with this information center, I think it's good to try and learn about the actual animal. Tyrannosaurus rex was a carnivorous dinosaur that lived in the late Cretaceous between 60 and 66 million years ago in North America, specifically the Hell Creek Formation. It was a huge theropod at about 12 to 13 meters in length and stood around 3.6 to 4 meters tall. It is one of the, if not the largest land predators by mass, with the largest specimens being almost 10 tons. It is one of the most well-studied dinosaurs and arguably the most famous. It had a bone-crushing bite, giving it the strongest bite on land. Quite recently, T-Rex is thought to have lips on its mouth, covering its teeth, unlike what we can see in the Jurassic franchise. It was the apex predator of its ecosystem, living alongside Triceratops, likely both species of Horridus and Procerus, and Ankylosaurus magnaventris. So I hope everyone watching enjoyed that educational segment. I'm not trying to copy anything. I know Regalius does that. I mean, way better than me. But I'm just trying to put out that I'm not trying to copy anyone. And I just rather let people learn about the animal T-Rex. And I've already even got a short about it that was uploaded much earlier. So I'm not trying to copy anyone or what's been successful. I know he has done T-Rex specifically, but he does do those like educational segments. But here I'm making this like viewing platform for the guests. I'm not a huge fan of viewing galleries. Like guests should be able to see it from when they walk. And also just like it's not crazy. I did get a workaround to it, but sometimes the grid can slightly frustrate me. But I found a workaround, so it's fine. It's not terrible. But this viewing platform is just like just lets guests get a bit closer, but like safely closer to the dinosaurs. The only other thing I do put is the log viewing gallery, because I think it's just like really cool. I really like that viewing gallery. It's just like in the enclosure itself, not from a distance, just like you're actually there with the dinosaurs themselves. And like I said before, these guest sections you gotta have fences. Like I don't like the massive, huge, like steel electric wire fences, because those just look silly, especially if it's a smaller dinosaur. I'd prefer a more natural look, but for the people, for the guests, something small just to stop them from being silly is definitely useful. So this is just a bit more like just a guest section, like a small area to relax with like benches, chairs, tables to like hang around, things like that. Now, one thing I will say, like the modular building is great, like much better than anything we've had in the previous games. However, there's one thing, like one small thing, and it's like some things you used to get previously you sort of have to make yourself, like planters, table sets, things like that. Like in the first game and the second game, you used to get like the tables and the chairs together as one, and they were much easier to place. Here I've got to do a bit more work. And here again with planters, it's definitely like if you have the time, modular building will always be better than like fixed building, because there's just so much customizable things. But sometimes I just can't do it, and as you can see here, I just go and look on the workshop, and the workshop is always useful. Like there's no reason not to use it unless you want like your own authentic part, which is like perfectly fine. Although the workshop can actually help you find things, like I got to use the statue that I wasn't able to use before, which I actually really appreciated. And it just sort of like filled in that guest area, because otherwise I definitely oversized it, and it just helped fill it in, just make it a bit less empty. But now we're getting to the important stuff, the dinosaurs themselves. I chose the little ETN 2001 skin. Yes, I don't have the Rebirth DLC. I really like it, but it's just not something I can get currently, and I really like to. And that's why I'll ask you to like and subscribe, because it helps me so much. It can help new viewers find my content. Hopefully they'll also enjoy it, and it helps YouTube like put me out on the algorithm, and it's just a huge help, and I hope it's not too big of a deal for you guys. So here they are, the dinosaurs themselves. I did slightly change the environment quickly, just to sort of make them a bit more comfortable. I did turn comfort off, but honestly, that's all I've done. Thank you for watching. I hope you really enjoyed the speed build. It's my first one, and yeah, just watch more. I hope you all enjoy it, but thank you for staying here. Goodbye.